Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I am your host for today's episode. And today on the show, I have Amir Patel, president of Sync USA, as my guest. We're going to learn about the business. We're going to learn about his role in the business and what it takes to own and operate a business and see what kind of challenges he faces throughout the day, as well as some of the milestones that he's had. So if this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notified when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, Amir. It's so great to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, before we dive into business chat, I'd love to learn a little bit about you. So feel free to share a bit about yourself.
Well, I've been here in the Austin area for about 18 years. Had a long career in sales. I've been in sales pretty much my whole life. So enjoying Austin, love it here, love fishing, love the outdoors. Really just a girl dad and a dog dad.
Oh, that's so sweet. How many girls do you have?
I have one, just the one, so she's perfect.
Oh, I
Nope,
love
ain't
that.
trying to do better than what I've done. So.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, she's got a great dad to look up to. So excited to dive in to learn about your role and what inspired you within the company. So, let's learn a little bit about Sync USA. What is the company about?
Yes, we host events for IT executives, senior leaders, C-suite VPs, directors across the globe, but primarily here in the United States and Canada. Really connecting leaders to be able to share and learn from each other, keep up with technology trends and the challenges that they face as leaders in their organizations. At the same time, we're able to, work with software solution providers across the board to introduce these executives to some of the solutions and, solving the challenges that they're facing, at least from a technology level.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. I am excited to learn more about the events. What kind of events do you host? Are they like workshops or do you have a variety of different events?
Variety of different events. We've got five different, I guess you can call them products. Some are virtual, most are in person. We have our larger format programs, which, are more intimate. These are regional in nature, so we're bringing executives from across a particular region. We host dinners, probably, I don't know, 150 or so globally, but again, primarily here in the US and Canada, where we're able to, five-star Michelin star sort of restaurants, to have these executives just, again, have high-level strategic discussions around the technology challenges that they're facing.
Definitely. Well, that is a hot topic to be, discussing and providing a lot of value in. And so I'd love to learn, how did you get into this role? How did it come about? And what's your why?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, this is not an industry that I'm from. I've been in it for the past 7 years since I started here, but really was, at a point in my life where I was needing to find a new career and applied. I just saw an ad that said inside sales manager wanted, said I could do that. That's pretty much all I've ever done. And 7 years later, now I'm the president of the company. So interesting journey.
Oh, wow. That is really cool to see how it's like a whole new door opened up for your career.
Yeah, a lot of learning.
Definitely. Well, I'd like to learn about your daily role. What does it look like? Are you working mostly, would you say, in the business, on the business, or is there kind of a combination?
Yeah, we're a smaller company, sub 50 employees. So, a lot of my role is wearing a lot of hats. Sales is, most senior leaders are, but it also delegates into, marketing, it delegates into audience acquisition for our events, it's sponsorships. And then, the least fun part of it is putting out fires as they come up. But trying to stay on board with the vision and continue to push the company forward, but making sure that we're focused on the details so that we don't slip up and lose what makes us different in the marketplace, which is the quality and delivery of our programs.
That was my next question too, is what sets you apart? in your business? And you mentioned quality and what was the other one again?
Attention to detail. I mean, we're not we always pride ourselves on, we're not going to have the biggest events. We're not going to have the most, but when we do it, we're going to do it to the utmost perfection. So that's kind of been our mantra is, from the start of our inception from our CEO founding this company, it's just hosting the best events in the industry and being known for that, which I think we
Oh, that's super cool. I'm in events as well. And so I love to hear how other event coordinators and creators are working. You mentioned putting out fires. Yep, that's a big one.
yeah.
Oh, for sure. Well, you mentioned a little bit about your team. I'd like to dive in a little more there. You said, is it sub 50? So how many team members are you currently at, give or take?
I want to say we're at like 35 currently, where our plan is to be probably closer to that 45 to 50 number by the end of the year. So, when I started, we were 7 employees. Trajectory was hot and heavy up until obviously COVID, but somehow we ended up growing our staff 20% through COVID and being in the live events business. That was a pretty, panic time. But somehow we ended up growing through that. And then, it's been a bit stagnant on purpose somewhat. We wanted to make sure that we got our footing correct after we came back to those live events. So now we're ready to make kind of the next evolution of the company and really trying to grow and increase not just headcount, but the number of events, the type of programs that we host, the industries that we support, and the different lines of business that we can host programs for.
That leads perfectly into that next section of questions I was going to ask was where do you see the company growing to in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, primarily right now we are focused on the IT executives. We are getting more and more into marketing personas. We've also got the, ability to move into HR. So there's different lines of business and roles within the company, obviously still staying within the C-suite. But I think because we deal quite a bit with marketing with our partners that we work with and the marketing orgs within those solution providers and software companies. It's a natural fit for us. We've hosted programs for them now to get their sales teams in front of the marketing personas that they're trying to sell to. But ultimately, it's another pillar of the business that is constantly evolving. And so, these senior leaders do need to get together to share ideas and stay current as they can.
Definitely, especially with how quickly the industry is shifting and growing. I feel like I learn something new every day in technology, especially with the advancements of AI and other things, and keeping up with that's got to be keeping you on your toes, to say the least.
It's never a dull day.
Never a dull day. Uh, Looking at we talked about the future of the company. We talked a bit about the your growth trajectory within your employees. I'd like to learn about the company culture because I think culture is what keeps companies alive. So, how are you working on your company culture currently?
Great question. I'm older. The generational difference in most of our workforce is somewhat younger, probably mid-20s to early 30s. So there's a different mentality that's come out of the last few years, and so being able to speak to the team members that we have in a language that's more understandable for them. As I grew up, it was, and again, being in sales, it was very cutthroat, hard-nosed, black and white, and I think there's some more gray area now. We try to create a culture of genuine supportiveness. Being in the events business, you're constantly up against a deadline. You're working in some tight conditions with a small group of people. So we need to make sure everyone is pulling their weight and everyone has each other's back while we're on site and even prior to the event. There's a lot that goes into building an event before you even get there. And so we need to make sure everyone's on the same page, which I think we've got a good, healthy culture. We do a lot of stuff, as far as team building activities. We try to get out and, do volunteer work as a group. And again, that just strengthens the bond so that when we are, in the meat of it with the events and the busy seasons, everyone is very familiar with each other and what makes each other tick.
Definitely. I know a well-oiled machine makes the machine run well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious about kind of what does it look like from a concept of an event to the execution of an event? Can you give me a brief on what that looks like? Is there a certain timeline you usually have it in, or what's that look like for you?
Yeah, we've got a few different products, as I mentioned. A lot of the stuff that we do is custom for our partners, but we do have set events throughout the year. So we've got to, set the calendar, obviously work with hotels and venues to book those locations, get the logistics the way that we need it. And so it's, having a timeline, 12, anywhere from 6 weeks to 12 weeks out, depending upon the product, on making sure that we have that runway in order to be able to deliver the best possible event. So, the fun part about events is, you do a great event and it's moving on to the next one. So there's a little bit of, I don't want to say a lack of gratitude, or you just don't have a moment to rest on your laurels and celebrate the wins. So that's why we try to create those moments where when we do have a break in between that, we can come together as a team and celebrate a little bit.
Definitely. Those moments are so crucial, especially in event curation and planning and it's hard to find because you're like, all right, we wrapped it up, debrief on to the next. Sometimes
Constantly up against a deadline, and there's the next deadline is just the next deadline.
100%. It's so good to come up for air sometimes. So we looked ahead. I'd like to look back at, your last 7 years in business as you've been growing. How many of those have you been president?
This will be year two.
Okay, year two as president. So I'd like to look at your presidency time within the company. What is something you were challenged with? As we are in business, there's a lot of challenges that comes up. What's something that you were challenged with that you overcame, and how did you do it?
Oh, interesting. I'll say I'm more of a support mechanism for our CEO, and that's how I've looked at my role. It's never been about me. It's always about making the team better. And so, I wanted to create space for our CEO to be able to be a true CEO and have a vision that's, planning out the next 5 years for our company and not getting so much into the minutia of the day to day. So I've tried to alleviate that. So, it's been, I would say the biggest challenge, if you want to call it that, is just divvying up the responsibilities and, allowing him to, offload some of the responsibilities onto me and having him feel comfortable that it's in good hands. I think he's confident in that, and he says, he says it multiple times, I trust you implicitly, but having him feel that he can release more and more onto me so that he can then not focus on that and focus on other things which we want him to in that role.
Definitely. Well, that's powerful too. I think that's a real golden nugget of this conversation is just looking where the roles are and seeing how everybody can work together to create synergy between all the moving parts of the company, including the people. So that's huge. Looking at towards the ahead in the business, and now I'd love to cover a current challenge. Is
Sure.
there anything that you feel the company is challenged with right now that you are overcoming as you grow?
I don't know if it's a new challenge. I think, staffing, I think, is always the biggest challenge. When you're in the people business, people matter. And we want to, we've got a pretty high standard of excellence. And so getting newer employees to buy into that earlier than later, right? I think that may be, if I was going to call it a challenge, I would say that's it. But again, it's having them, it's a trust me now, believe me later sort of mentality that we have to impose onto them in the beginning, since they are so new and they don't know events. A lot of the folks that we hire are great people. That's one thing we're good at, is finding good people. It's having them, see the fruits of it weeks or sometimes months after they've been in this role, starting to build these programs, and then actually seeing it is it's a timing thing more than anything.
Definitely. I completely can see that, like where there's that vision created and then getting them on board with the vision to see the outcome maybe
Sure.
down the road a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard to see if you've never been to a program or, just trying to understand that what we're saying is an actual thing, right? When you're sitting in four walls of an office and there's this event that's months away, it's hard to envision that or believe that that's a reality until you've actually gone through it.
Definitely. And what are some of the ways that you are currently engaging them to keep them, motivated, excited about what you're working on?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to send them to events as early as we possibly can, so they can actually see it. Good news is we do a lot, but we also need to make sure that the foundation is set. So the time in office early in the training is crucial for them to understand the minutia of what makes an event a great event. It's not just, putting bodies into a room. It's, the before, during, and after that really sets us apart from everything. So a lot of SOPs and a lot of things that they may not understand is what makes the event or why we do it, but they understand why after they see it.
Definitely, definitely. Well, this has been such a fun conversation so far. I'm excited to get into another cool part of the conversation, which is our rapid fire
Okay.
questions, where I'm going to be asking you four questions and answer very top of mind.
Sure.
All right, rapid fire number one is what is the key to success for you?
Hard work, period. I wish there was an easier solution, but the unglamorous grind and hard work is what makes you better.
100%. All that, the base of the iceberg, right?
That's it. That's it. There's no easy button.
There is no easy button. Number two is what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Say trust your gut. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's okay. You just need to recover quickly. That'd be it. So it's not everyone is successful 100% of the time.
Oh, amen to that. That is so true. Number three is it could be a book that you've read, a podcast you've listened to, anything that you've taken in that's inspired you most recently.
So actually, I have a book sitting here, The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield. Um, Great book on just, obviously it's not business focused, but just unlocking the creativity in your mind helps for problem solving. Really insightful.
100%. Yes, I have a copy of that book and I love it.
It's a
Yeah.
good one.
Final question is if you could wave a magic wand and improve one aspect of your business for the better, what would it be?
More money, more revenue.
I love the honesty. Yes.
Yeah. What else can I say? Gosh, that's a good question. I honestly don't know. I would just say if we, in business, unfortunately, we're in business to make money, and the more money you have, the sometimes you can throw money at problems to fix them, but ultimately, yeah, I'd say that's it. Just more revenue. That my job in my role now, that's what I'm tasked with. So that's my primary focus.
Definitely. That is a good one to remember in business for sure. Well, but before we get to our final question of the day, how can folks learn about your business and you online?
I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn. Our website is it's sincusa.com. And that's probably the best way. We've got some, Twitter feeds and all those other feeds are on LinkedIn, but that's probably the easiest way to see what we do.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Amir, for being on the show today. Oh, and the final question. Yes, the final question. I got ahead of myself there.
Yeah.
Final question is, what is most inspiring to you today?
I think this next generation that's going to be rolling into college. I think in the next few years, we're going to see a really, really strong workforce. I know Millennials have kind of got a bad rap, but I think this newer generation, I say that because my daughter is part of that. I think they've seen that and they don't resonate with that. And I'm seeing a lot more go-getter mentality rather than the wait and things are magically going to happen for you. So I'm excited to see the next probably 4 to 5 years, the workforce that we have and the leaders, the future leaders that are going to emerge.
Definitely. Always looking to the inspiration of the future. So, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for sharing about yourself and about the business.
Thank you.